Hello, I'm Marinovska, the Russian comedian. Is anybody behind me? Because this is the Eagles' Last Stand you're watching.
When I come around, got the whole thing wobbing.
And we're back for another episode of the Eagles' Last Stand. I'm Josh Sardam, your host, and this is the Quarantine Chronicles. And as always, we're back here talking with club owners and bookers and comedians and all kinds of interesting people. In fact, we talked with a wrestler out of Snow last night, and that was a lot of fun. And we got more wrestlers coming on, and so more information about that later on the website. But today we have the owner of the Idiot Box and the executive producer, coordinator, runner, owner of the North Carolina Comedy Festival. Jennie Stencel's on the show. How you doing, Jennie?
Hey, everybody. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Wonderful to have you on the show. We've been communicating back and forth a little while now, mainly about your festival and my festival that I run, but
they aren't going great.
They're not happening. This thing kind of put a dent in everything we're trying to do, huh?
Yeah. It's just like a dent, like a giant gaping black hole. But, it's going to be fine eventually.
Yeah, eventually things will go back to normal, and we'll all go back to being the self-centered people we were before all this stuff.
I totally missed that.
That's great. Seeing though this is our first time first time on the show, I'd love it if you could tell me how you actually got into the comedy business.
Yeah, when I was, I guess I was 20, so very recently, I started taking improv classes. My sister did hey kitty, my sister did improv at this club in Raleigh, and they opened like a tiny one where I lived. And so I started taking classes, and then in about a year I was running the classes, which that's too soon. You shouldn't let anybody do that, but I was. And then I had a lot of children real fast. We got married, and I was 22 when I got married. I had 2 kids by the time we adopted a baby. I had a baby the same year, and then another kid not too long after that. And so I opened the Idiot Box about, I guess my son was a baby, so like 16, 17 years ago in Greensboro, North Carolina. And then it went from just being an improv club to being improv and stand-up, and being improv and stand-up and sketch. And so I've been performing 3 nights a week for almost 23 years now. We're almost there. And so that's how I started. So improv was actually I did that for many years before I did anything else. And then it was sort of weird because the first time I did stand-up, it's definitely different and scary and all that. But I've been on stage hours a week already. So I was like, this is easy. And the first time it was easy because it was just, I was like making it up as I went. I was like, you got to tell the same jokes again, but better next time. So that was very different, right? Totally different world. So, but that's cool. So that's how I got started. That's what I've been doing. And my club is it's a really small comedy club. It seats 80, and it's in its 4th location over the 17 years. It's like, let's move to a better spot. And that spot became terrible. And then we had a temporary spot. Now we're in a nice little spot that we hope to stay in if we can keep paying the rent while we're not open. Sure. And but it's like a club meant to support comics on the rise. So we do have famous people come and comedians that are well established, but that's not the focus. So that's fairly infrequent. We have shows that are intended to be people that are comics that are coming up, and they've got their good 10, now they've got their good 20, now they've got a good 30, and they feature for the first time at the club. They host for the first time. They have their first open mic. They whatever. And so that's why that's the part I enjoy, is watching somebody go from, wow, that was just the worst thing I've ever seen, you should not leave your house, to, oh, so it was okay. And oh wow, you're getting really good, and what a great idea, and now look at you, and go make money doing comedy somewhere. You know, it's really cool.
Right. No, that's definitely neat. At the open mic we host at Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, we one of the hosts, this guy Lee Cruz, he always says, you know, hey, you know, if they say something funny, please, by all means, laugh really hard at it. If they say something that's not funny, don't, because we don't want to hear it again either.
Yeah, you're not really doing us a favor.
Right. I mean, you want to be polite, but look.
Yeah. Smile.
People are, this is just a bucket list for them. So
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Let's not encourage it. Yeah, it's
I like that.
Dynamic, that's for sure, doing stand-up. And I started doing my festival because of the fact that there's really nothing in Central Kentucky. Lexington has one comedy competition that they do, but it's really nothing really comes out of it. There's really not an opportunity for a comic for winning it. It's just a bragging right thing, really.
Which feels good. That feels good. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. But you know, and so I wanted to come up with something different, and so I started doing the funniest comic east of the Mississippi contest, and I hooked up with Nyla Durrani.
Yeah.
And you know, Nyla and I organized this thing to a point where, you know, now the winner goes to California and gets a shot at AGT, and you know, it's something more of it, you know. And we make sure I make sure that it's an all expenses paid trip, and there's prize money, and so I mean, it's exciting for everybody in the area, and there's really nothing like it, you know, close by here. So,
yeah, it's really cool.
And because Nyla,
well, it's interesting. So then Nyla's awesome. She, yeah, like everybody's like, oh yeah. So I started. There was nothing. There are several festivals now in North Carolina, and there was a comedy. There really wasn't much of a comedy scene 16 years ago. There's a great comedy club in Raleigh, which is kind of far from here, but it's drivable.
Good night.
Good Nights, yeah.
Good Nights, yeah.
And now there's Dead Crows at the beach, then Good Nights, then us. And then there's a couple comedy zones floating around. And
isn't there an improv over there somewhere too?
That's new, but that's here. Yeah, that's in Raleigh too. That just got here. I think they opened a year ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's an enormous base. It's giant. But there is a festival in Asheville, which was well known, and there's a festival at the beach. But there was nothing near here. And North Carolina isn't Texas, but our comedy scene, I was like, you know, it's not huge, but I was like, I think we could really do something here that's different. And because we have a strong base in improv also, we were able to make our festival so it's improv, sketch, and stand-up. And so the festival, the first year, I didn't sleep. I was so much work, and I'm not a control freak, but like, it's just easier to, if you just do it yourself, then, you know, it did. So that's kind of what I did. I had help, but like, it was, you know, we started it, and the first year went well. You know, of course it wasn't perfect. And then I was like, okay, what do we add? What do we fix? What do we add? And then Nyla came the second year. And so we were able to offer people this chance to be seen by America's Got Talent. And she helped some people, which was super cool. And she helped me. And then this year, so it's a really large festival. Most festivals have 20, 40 people. Some have more, but it depends on the structure. But this festival this year it was supposed to have like 300 and something. Yeah, it was going to be really big. So, but the advantage, like the neat thing this year was the enormous amount of industry that we had coming versus the first year where it was more of a meet other comics, meet other people that are comics and bookers. Let's make our world smaller so we can get more work wherever we go. But this became this was going to be like a huge thing. Just for Laughs was coming to Scout. It's very painful. It really hurt. This really hurt. But I know. And I was so excited to be able to give those opportunities, you know, to let somebody be seen by Jeff Singer and get somebody seen. I had 15 different people coming from different club bookers and people that book a lot, you know, and you were coming and everybody was. So that was a bummer. But I also was so excited to see comics. You know, a lot of the comics come every year. So now I've seen them grow for 3 years, which is really cool too, because you're like, you know, some people still have the same opener, some people have the same closer, but they have new meat in their 10 minutes, and we added venues and blah, 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 blah. So I'm hoping we still get to do it, postponing it till we'll see. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, right now mine's tentatively still scheduled for September, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not.
For September, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. So my reschedule for mine was originally like June or August, and obviously it's not June. And I think August might be. I'm hanging on, but I'm not sure it's going to be safe. So I'm like, how is this going to be a fun experience?
Right.
Like if we're all scared we're going to die. well, like I love comedy festivals, but I don't want to be on a ventilator because I went to a comedy fest. So I don't know. So I'm hoping we have a really big upswing and people being safe and wearing masks, and 13-year-old genius invents the cure, you know.
Sure. I mean, you know, he programmed it on his computer while he was playing Minecraft. It's probably how that'll happen.
Yeah, like my son is really good at GTA and shit talking. So
nice.
Neither of those things, I think, lend themselves to scientific discoveries, but you never
know. You never know. I you know, after doing a bunch of these shows, it's funny to hear the different perspectives of different comics or club owners, and you know that it seems to me there's two rounds of thought here. Like, you know, one says that we're going to open up and slowly the clubs will just gain momentum to the point where it's going to be packed every weekend because everybody's just so sick of watching things on TV. And then there's another school of thought that says, no, we're screwed. This is going to be nobody's going to want to go to a comedy club anymore because you're too close together. And I'm very so I think I'm in the middle of them. You know, I don't think we're going to be packed, and I think that a lot of people have found that you don't need to go out. Like, I know we're bored, right?
But I think people have found hobbies and other interests that don't involve giving their money to strangers, and which is a bummer.
Right.
And then I think there's a lot of people that are like, there's probably 20% of people that are going to be scared to go out. There's 20% of people that aren't going to be healthy enough to go out. You know, they've got issues where if they get it, it's so dangerous for them.
Sure.
And so it's 40% of people already. And then there's 20% of people that won't have a job.
Right.
So now we're down to, and then it's so of the 40 left over, are they the 40? No. Yeah. 40% of the leftovers, are they comedy fans? And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be sold out. So I want to have, you know, a nice, safe, little happy group of people come, but just a lot, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But and I hopefully they'll all be wear masks. I was talking to some club owners today from all over the country, and I was like, is anybody going to require masks? And some of those clubs are so large that I think that they're like, they already have a different battle than I have. Like, they have to have 4 security guards, and you know, it's a different business, really. I mean, there's similar aspects, but you know, they're running an entire full kitchen. They're dealing with celebrity managers who I only deal with when I absolutely have to. I'm not good at I don't care about you. I mean, I you know, so like I'm not I just like funny people, you know. So so I forgot what I was talking about, but they're, you know, they're like, I don't know if we'll require masks, but we'll suggest them. And I'm like, yeah, but I work the door at my comedy club, so like, you don't have to, you know, you're not going to be in there with some idiot who's coughing on you.
Right.
You know, I will be in there with the idiots. So I think in such a small venue, I'll probably have to require masks. And I don't know if that's going to create fussy people or happy people. We'll see. I wish the governors would just say, or the president or somebody in charge, like, masks for a year, you know. And then we don't have to say it because it's just like, sorry, it's the law, so we don't all die.
Well, I mean, in Kentucky, the governor is really taking this by the horns, and he's pretty much required that people have to wear masks. Nobody is really like a lot of people are following it, but there's a lot of people that aren't still. And I just think what's that word? Dumb. I just think that's dumb. Like Georgia is a perfect example of this. They opened 2 weeks ago. And they had like 1,000 new cases already, and it's like...
Oh, yeah. Well, George is interesting because, I mean, he obviously doesn't care who lives or dies. I mean, that's a fact, I think, from his behavior. But also, like, Georgia's not a rich state, so if he reopens, then he's not losing more money. Like, he's got to pay all these unemployment. Like, all that money's coming from, people aren't working, so the money's got to come from somewhere. Right. So he figures, at least if I tell them to be open and they choose not to be, that's on them.
Right.
I think that's some of his logic, but it's not, because when you have a lot of dead bodies laying all over your state, it's really inconvenient. Like, it creating bigger problems. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Our governor has been doing a really good job, I think. I mean, we have a lot of cases, but I think he's been smart. And he also, like, it's like when you have children and you're like, Santa's coming, so remember to clean up your room, so he's like, we're gonna have phase 2 if we're good when we have phase 1. Right. And so it works because the stupid people and the stubborn people are like, oh, but we'll get to have phase 2 if we just don't do this. So I'm hoping that happens.
Yeah. And there are a lot of stupid people out there. So.
Yeah, it's actually so sad because a lot of them, a lot are stupid. That's true. But I think there's a lot of people that are just seeing the wrong thing or hearing the wrong thing and feeling frustrated because they're not making the money they should be making, or their kids are home and Jesus Christ. And, I get that. And, but they're just being fed information that's wrong or skewed. And so it's more sad than anything else because they're going to end up in the hospital and they're angry. And there was like my buddy's landlord, it's like 90, was like, this is dumb. The president said we didn't have to worry about this. And then he ended up in the hospital with coronavirus, and they don't even live in a city. Like,
yeah.
He shouldn't have gotten it. Why are you getting it in a town? You know what I mean? Like, how to get to your town? Nobody wants to go to your crappy town. How did you get it?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a simple precaution to wear a mask. It's not that big a deal. People should just err on the side of caution. I think social media, Facebook, does people a disservice because there's a ton of fake information out there.
It's confusing. I mean, things look real. That smart people are like, did you see this article? And then you're like, is that facts? And then you Googled it and it's not a fact, but the article looks real. Looks like a real newspaper made it, and you don't know. I mean, there was like a radio DJ that told this story when I was like 17, and we listened to him every morning on the way to school, right? And he told this. Thank you. He told this story, and it was about where the word shit came from. Can I say that? Is that okay? Okay, so and he gives you this whole like backstory on where SHIT came from, and I told that story for years, believing it to be this true. It's not a true story. He made it up on the radio. Like, it wasn't true. And I convinced.
I know the story.
I told. So they used to ship animal. It's so stupid. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. They used to ship
hire in transit story.
Yes, it's not true. I'm an idiot. I know. I told that story to so many people, but he told it very convincingly. I don't think, is it true? And now I'm wrong.
Because I've been telling that story forever now, thinking it's true. So you're telling me it's not true?
Oh my God. Now I'm stressed out. I don't know. Either way, that's really funny. So recently I told someone that, and they were like, that is like an urban, you're an idiot.
Now I'm going to have to look it up.
Oh my God. Now I'm double stressed. I had stopped telling it. And that's like my go-to cute shit story. Oh, well.
It's a great story. No, it's fantastic. If people don't know it, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So that was the sort of, anyway, my point was when somebody convincing says something and they have like some voice of reason, you're like, oh, that's true. And
Sure.
I mean, when I was on the news for years, many, many years ago. And, but my job was to be fun. So like I didn't have to adhere to any of the work. But people take especially then, I mean, that was 10 years ago. They take everything you say as fact, or at the time they did. And so that was really interesting because my job was to be silly and to give opinions. And that was a really blurry line because like, certain things you can't, there's just so much you can't say on the morning news. So I'm like trying to find a line of funny, what you're allowed to get away with constantly. But also like, you have to be careful that you're not providing fake information because they think everything is a fact. Because it's coming from the news.
I think Facebook is an extension of that because people see stuff and they automatically just go, oh, well, that's fact then. It's like, or they'll give their opinion, and their opinion is so strong, people are like, well, that must be a fact then. It's like, no, opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what year it was where we thought opinion was fact, but it's impressive because it's
very impressive.
It's everybody. And it's, I have friends who, mostly we all kind of have the same thoughts on the big world issues, but not everything. But we all assume we all have the same things, and so like we were arguing over some school stuff, and I was like, "You don't have children. You don't have children. You weren't the PTA president. You never volunteered in a classroom. I don't think your vote counts." Like,
yeah, it's those same people that think that having a cat or dog is their fur children. And it's just the same thing. Yeah,
and it doesn't make it not a valid thing. I'm just telling you
that I'm going to throw punch you if you say that.
Yeah. If you say it one more time, and so like, she's like, this is the only way to fix schools, and I was like, America is the United States is huge, and every school system cannot run the same exact way.
No,
you're wrong because and I'm explaining why she's wrong, and I'm like, just. And like, as she's super, super liberal, which is wonderful. You should believe what you believe. But like to the point where everything else that's not, doesn't meet this isn't okay. And I was like, well, we all have to be, I believe this, but you are also a good person. Like, unless it's these terrible things, and we need the same list of terribles. And then everything else is a difference of opinion, and I don't know. It's become depressing.
It's okay to disagree. I completely lost faith in all things Facebook when I get trolled a lot on Instagram. I have a large following, and I always and I post outlandish shit on one side or the other on purpose just to cause these trolls to have an angry household. But this one guy came on there and he said, well, 90% of Facebook already validated that this isn't true, so therefore it's not true. You should take this down. And I'm like, 90% of Facebook said it's validated? Is there blood coming out of my ear right now?
I'm so funny. I mean, I'm not funny about it. My Twitter account is like I just say mean, terrible stuff about whatever. Sure. But I don't. Instagram's pictures of my cats, and then, but then like my Facebook page is like I rarely. It's not much. I don't want to hear about it. Like, whatever. But sure. If I post an opinion, I also am like, remember, I don't care about you. So if you argue on my wall, I don't care about, like, there's 5 people on here I care about. Like, you're, and it's not you. The person that's going to argue with me is not, I don't care about. Like, you don't matter to me. I met you once. Like, I know I don't care about you. But I have to remind people because my real friends are like, they were like, she's in a mood. Leave her be. Like, leave her be. Like, it's.
Yeah, I used to post like I still post sometimes like an inspirational quote from a famous historian or something, or somebody I respect in history, I'll sometimes do that, because you really can't argue with it, even though it's happened. But now I stick to just posting or reposting cat or dog videos, because honestly, I mean, most people are either
I think
a
that's
cat
solid.
person or a dog person, or if you don't like animals, I don't really want to talk to you anyway.
Yeah, something's wrong with you if you don't like any animals.
Right.
And also, like, it can be a place of joy. I think so. Like when Facebook started, it was neat. Well, when my age group got into it, which wasn't when it started, but it was like, oh, I can find old friends and I can keep up with my family better, like cousins who you wouldn't keep up with.
Sure.
It's cool to see their babies growing up, and then it was, oh, I can put my opinion, and then it turned into like it went from this to like just off the charts crazy, and then people posting like their breakups and taunting their exes and like real psycho stuff that like it isn't smart in real life. That's how you get shot in real life, you know? Right. And then like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And then it's like all these things. And now I feel like then it went just to political trash town. And I don't know how you like anybody on either side of the aisle when you read anything.
I'm with you 100%. I hate politics. I hate politicians, period.
Yeah, I mean, they're not heroes.
No. Matter of fact, it's South Carolina, I think, has the only politician right now that I care about what he says. I'm pretty sure it's Trey Gowdy.
Which one's that one?
Carolina, isn't it? Well, I don't think he's a politician anymore. I think he actually went back to his law practice. But I mean, when he was in office, the guy didn't give a rat's ass what he said. He was a Republican by politics, but he honestly didn't speak like one. He spoke like a guy he was a little conservative. He's a little bit liberal, and he just spoke his mind, his heart, and he was very logical, and he spoke with facts, and I really appreciate it.
I love the facts. I'm a big fan of the facts, and I actually don't think it's bad that we don't all agree on everything.
I think that's what this country was founded on.
But it is interesting. Like I was talking to my dad about it, who's 72, 73. And he was like, in the 70s, they went to dinner parties or whatever, and they'd be all different political parties, and they could talk about politics, and then they could talk about golf or whatever they talked about in the 70s, put their keys in the bowl. I don't know. But they didn't hate each other.
Right.
Because they weren't the exact same. And now it's turned into, I think it's pushing people to extremes.
Yeah.
When you attack me constantly for not thinking that's so great, whatever that is,
yeah,
it makes me think that thing's even greater. And so like we're sort of pushing people to these polarized ends, and now more violent things are happening, and I don't like that. I don't want people getting hurt.
Yeah, me either.
Even idiots, so it's like oh, we gotta everybody stop it. So I don't know. It does seem calmer now with this pandemic, though. Facebook is a lot of doggy videos.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool with that. Like, I only use Facebook honestly for my comedy stuff, because it's a good vessel to advertise. And
if I didn't have comedy, I don't think I'd be using it anymore. I think I definitely would have up until probably this last election. It got so exhausting that I don't think I would. And no, you end up blocking people because people will say things that I don't. Yeah, I'm okay with different political opinions, but once you start saying racist stuff, I don't want to be your friend or know you or.
And this is definitely a climate of, oh, well, you don't agree with me, though you're probably racist then, just because I don't agree with you.
And it's not that issue, which is the weird thing. Like, if we're talking about racist stuff, if you say something racist, you're racist. But if we're like talking about like, I can't even think of it, like crossroads or like what are they called, crosswalks, and then you don't agree with the crosswalk thing, that doesn't actually go to that. Like,
there's no.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
But I did. Yeah, I have had. I don't know, blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't know if I look like I'm just gonna not like other people. I'm not sure what the. But so like I've had people write me messages, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
No. I don't own a hood. I don't have one of those. I'm sorry. We're not we're not going to jag.
I mean, I've literally had to explain to grown adults that that racism is based on hatred. Like, if you actually hate a group of people based on their ethnicity or the
something's wrong with you.
Skin, and there's real hatred there, like you want to hurt them or do bad things to them because of that.
Yeah,
that's racism.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Everything else isn't. You know, and I really get it. You know, I'm Jewish, so I mean, I really get, you know, the whole. I mean, I don't.
Is that my husband's Jewish? Are you in the strong minority in Kentucky, or?
We are definitely a minority in Kentucky. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not a practicing Jew. Matter of fact, I didn't even find out I was Jewish till I was in my 30s. But I mean, you know, but I've got a rabbi now, and he actually bar mitzvahed me a couple of years ago, ambushed me, and bar mitzvahed me in the club's old booking office. We're in there speaking whatever, all that in the closet, and
Hebrew.
yeah. And it was hysterical. We come out of there, and he took all the crap off me. We come out of there, and he goes, now you can tell your wife you're a man. I was like, yes, about time.
Now you got to get checks from all your relatives for $100.
Yeah, all of a sudden, none of them know me anymore. That's
oh no, they're supposed to send you money. That's the fair thing. Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't find out till you were 30 that you were Jewish?
In my 30s, yeah. I was probably 31 and 32 when I finally was told that. And what's funny is I always knew that, my mother was born Jewish. And, of course, if your mom's Jewish, then the children are Jewish, period.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, but I was raised Catholic. And because my mom converted when she married my dad. So, I grew up not knowing. And, of course, my siblings all knew, and no one decided.
It just didn't come up, yeah.
But it was one of those, what? Okay.
Look at that.
But I'm proud to be. I have a grandmother that was in Auschwitz, and I'm very proud of my heritage and the strength that came from it. But I mean, when you're talking about the Jews, I don't think there's another sect of human beings that have been through more torture or slavery than the Jewish people. I mean, since the dawn of time, that's happened. And
I mean, I think it's that particular the Auschwitz, all of it. It's just so stomach turning.
Oh God!
And it's so crazy. Like it's, I'm like, what? And the more you read about it, you're more like, what?
Why?
What are the what? And you just can't even. It's very hard to fathom. Like it doesn't seem like it would be possible in current times. I mean, I know that wasn't recent, but in our it was modern time.
Yeah.
Times where you're like, what's going on? Like these were their neighbors. Like
right.
Picking up neighbors. Yeah.
It's astonishing that one human being could look at another human being and just think they are subhuman. They're not of the same level.
Yeah. Well, or get on board with it. I mean, it was really the stories. Oh, I mean, it's too much. But then those things are still happening to people in different countries. I don't know a lot about, so I can't say a lot about, but I know that my kid, I don't know a lot. Like I try not to read a lot of horrible things because I get so sad. But my kids, their world history class, I'm like, what are you guys learning about? And I'm like, no, I don't. What book are you reading for English? I can deal with that. And then it's always some terrible Auschwitz book. Like I'm like, oh my God, they read about the Holocaust every day. Like I was like every year. I'm like the water cycle, the Holocaust. Every year. I'm like, you kids don't know how water works yet? Like, this is literally 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade that learned the water cycle. It was the most bizarre. It's a cloud. That's what it is now. And it'll be back on ground in a little bit. This does you no good in real life. I don't know why.
I have a question not only from me, but from other club owners that we wanted to get your opinion on. And because you're a performer yourself, and I don't know if you're familiar with the owner of Dayton's Wiley's comedy joint, Don Smith.
I don't know him, but I know that
he's a performer as well. He's a comedian, and he got involved with the World Series of Comedy for his club, and he wanted to be a performer. And the World Series of Comedy told him that he wasn't allowed to be a performer because he was a club owner. How do you feel about that?
Okay. Okay. So, was his club hosting an event for the World Series of Comedy?
Hosting an event, and he wasn't intending to perform at his club. He wanted to just go to some satellite.
Okay. So if I were him and I wanted to, that would frustrate me. I would have liked that information before I agreed to host it at my venue.
Right.
And they probably thought they told, I mean, I don't know all the details.
Sure.
But I can see being the event runner and thinking, this is going to look bad. Because if you win it, we're just giving it to a club owner.
I can definitely see that side of it.
So I see I see it both being in both of their interests, and it's really hard because like we run a comedy competition every year that I make. We make as fair as possible, but the fact is that you are comparing art, and so. It's opinion.
Right.
It's an opinion. It's not a fact. Sometimes it absolutely is. The winner is always the best, and they were the best that night, and they're always going to be the best. But a lot of times it's like, tonight you were the best according to those judges, or
right,
according to that audience. And so, but we always try to make sure that cut down all of the things that could be the club's fault that would make it not fair, or things that could be the situation, and you never can make it perfect.
No.
The point to me, people are always really funny about competitions because they cry. Like, I've seen more men cry after a comedy competition than I've seen cry at funerals. Like, it's so, and these comedy competitions they do mean things, but they're not going to control your future, right?
No.
They can help you and hurt you based on your behavior. And that's really kind of it. So, but it's like, what you get out of it is if it's one of those 5-minute things, right? Like, did you put together the best 5-minute set? Yes or no? What can you get out of this next time? What did you do? What didn't you do? And what did they do? Why did they win? It wasn't about you. Why did they win?
Right. They
won because they did something. And so, like, to me, it's to analyze and figure out how you get what you want versus whether or not you win so much. And analyze, sometimes it's just not fair. Like, like sometimes it's just, the weirdest one was 9-10 years ago. There was a guy, it was an early round, and the first round there's 10 comics, they do 5 minutes. And he was so funny, and the jokes were so good, and he got one vote, and this was an audience vote round, and we got one vote.
Was it because he didn't bring enough people?
So the thing is, we sort of squish out that audience vote thing by having the audience vote for 3 people, so they can't just vote for the person that they came to see. So he should have been everybody's second choice, right? If it was only people that were there to see people, he should have been everybody's second choice, but he wasn't. He was nobody's choice. And I'm like, and I'm going through them, you're counting them, and I'm like, how did he get no votes? And I'm like, did I confuse him with somebody else? Like, I'm like, we couldn't figure it out. But it wasn't like, I just thought he was the funniest one. You know what I mean? Like, the other 2 people counting the votes were like, he was the funniest one. Like, the guy running the sound he was the funniest one. Like, we were very confused. And then we read the winners, and the audience, like, was super happy. Nobody was like, what? And, but then afterwards, people kept going up to him and saying he was really good. So I don't know what that was.
Yeah. And contests are constantly skewed like that. I'll give you my little story that just happened yesterday. I was in the World Series of Comedy video contest, and we had to submit 3 minutes, and there was 16 comics in my show. And I ended up with the second most votes out of all 5 shows. I had the second most votes. And I didn't make it to the finals because apparently the judges feel the same way as the voters did.
Oh.
That's just the way contests are, and I'm historically bad. So,
what was the voting for if it didn't count then?
and the way the World Series of Comedy always does their voting is whoever has the most votes, they get like points added to their sheet, and then the second most get points added to their sheet. The judges really have the main sway.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so you have like up to I think 30 points on your sheet, and then you can get an additional 5 if you get the most votes. So I mean, it's just.
I see.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, the crowd loved me. The judges, yeah.
How many judges do they have? Do they have
there was 3 per show, so there was at least 3 looking at my show.
Oh, okay. 3 judges?
Yeah. And I think Nyla was one of my judges. So
what the heck?
I know.
Not even playing favorites.
No, she can't do that.
She really couldn't. She probably knew 100 of you already.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And she's seen my set numerous times, so she was like, "Oh, he's going to do that." Okay, yeah.
I don't have to watch it. No. I had a really interesting thing. I think it's being old, which was kind of neat. I went to do this comedy. When I opened the club, all I was doing was literally cleaning the bathrooms, being nice to people, which I hate. Just working. And I work the door, and it's funny because when people are rude to me and I go to a restaurant, I'm furious, but I'm so snippy at the door. I'm like, why do people come back here? I try to be nice, but the questions are stupid. Like it's, right. And and then I like try to make a joke out of being a jerk, like, which doesn't work. Anyway, so I took a night off and I went to do a comedy competition just at this club far away, and it was far away. I didn't know anybody. And I mostly did it because I just wanted to be on stage in front of nobody, just nobody I knew. And I thought it would be a good way. Maybe I'd meet a few people. So there were like 20 people, which is a lot of people to ask an audience to watch. Anyway, and it was like a series of things. And what ended up happening was everyone was great and the club was beautiful and all these nice things, but they didn't tell you the judges were going to tell you what they thought of you during the show into a microphone in front of the audience.
Yikes.
I'm in my 40s. I'm not doing this. Right. So and it wasn't judges vote anyway. It was audience vote.
Right.
So why are you being rude to us? It was really weird. And had I known that, I don't want to participate in that. They didn't say anything mean to me. It wasn't like I got trashed. I got told I talked too fast.
Listen fast.
And that was the bit. The bit is that you can't understand. The bit they didn't like. You're not supposed to understand me. So whatever. But so anyway, after the guy that went before me, this poor kid, I think that he was a newer comic, and he did have some premises and some punchlines. They were fine. His delivery he's so uncomfortable on stage. So, if you were the judge watching that, I wouldn't want to be mean to him because it was uncomfortable, but they were mean to him.
Oh,
so the audience, it's not like on American Idol where the audience thinks it's fun that he's mean, right? We were all like, oh God. And I'm on the stairs to be next on stage. So I'm like, I don't want to. And they're like, you should give this up. You're not meant for it. You're not good at it. You're bad on stage.
Holy shit.
I didn't want to watch all of that. It was direct. And I didn't really think it was fair because he did have comedic premises. He just was awkward. He might get over that. So, you guys do. A lot of you start real awkward and then all of a sudden you get charming. It happens.
Yeah.
Maybe not for him, but also to tell somebody to give up comedy, he didn't do anything that was worth saying. So,
it's not like he puked on the stage.
The audience was dead silent.
In front of people that were raped or something.
No, he was. It wasn't hilarious, but it wasn't anything worth that, right? It would have been an open mic. You wouldn't even leave the room. You wouldn't even walk out. You wouldn't have been I can't watch the end of this. Not even one of those. So they trashed this kid, and I'm he was kind of old actually. I don't know if I'm calling him a kid, but anyway, And then I'm like, and then they're like, Jennie Stencel. And I'm like, I go up there. So then I go, and then they don't say anything super mean. They mostly just had the woman talk to me. The woman judge talked to me. I don't know if they worked out that the woman judge talked to like, it was a little bit sexy.
Right.
It was weird. And so then I was like, the point of all this was at the end, they read off the winners. They were funny people. It wasn't me. And it was interesting because that was the first time I had done a competition where I didn't care. Like, I was like, I had fun. Like, it was fun to be on stage. And it was fun to see that my 5 minutes went fine. Like, it was fun to do. And, like, the fact that those 3 people didn't love me, like, it made zero difference in my mind. So, I don't know if that's, like, either I don't care about comedy anymore or or a maturity thing where I was like, this is not the end of your, like, it doesn't matter.
No, I think...
You gotta live in the moment.
There's definitely that, and I think there's a point in stand-up comedy where after you've had your 1,000 deaths on stage, your soul doesn't exist anymore. So you just...
Yeah, you gotta...
You've heard it all.
Enjoy the moment. We only have the moments. So what are you trying to get? I'm not going to be miserable because of this... And this lady doesn't like me. She thinks I talk too fast. Well, she doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, I don't even know her name. Like, I don't remember her name. I didn't know who she was then. I'll never know who she is. It doesn't matter. So it's like, but it is interesting how we work ourselves up to thinking this is going to be this thing. And then when it's not, we're crushed. And then for me, I'm like, oh, I just need to enjoy the moment, the on-stage moments, and let the rest be,
That's just your years of performing speaking through is what that...
All these wrinkles.
Can't see them.
They get it.
So where can people go to find information about Jennie Stencel and the Idiot Box and the North Carolina Comedy Festival?
Yes, so the North Carolina Comedy Festival has a website and Facebook page and all the things. I have a website for masks pulled up. Buy a new mask. So the Idiot Box Comedy Club, you can find it on Facebook just as Idiot Box Comedy Club. IBX Comedy, and if there's comics that are watching, you can send videos, and if you're coming through, so we can book you or get you guest spots or whatever, you can send those to the Idiot Box or just to me, Jennie Stencel. It's spelled weird, but it's right there in the corner. Can they see it?
It'll be on the screen for you.
Okay, so then they can see it. And I have a Twitter. I'm mean on there, so if you're good boy, don't look there. But you can follow me on Facebook. And if you like pictures of cats, my Instagram is fire. So that's it. And we do the festival. The festival is in the spring every year. And hopefully we'll be on schedule this coming year. And we'll probably do submissions maybe a little later than usual for that. Usually we do it over the summer, but I think we might need to do it later. People won't have videos, I don't think, to send.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to have a video from 3 years ago, and it's not going to be very current. So,
right.
But it's a good festival, and I think worth it for most level comedians to apply. We take all different levels, so it's not just the top 40, which is a great festival too. Like, I did Big Pine. I went to Big Pine Comedy Festival last year, and it was amazing. And the 39 other comics were probably some of the best comics I've ever seen. I don't know how I got in, but I was there, and they were good. And we take comics like that. And we also take comics that are very, very talented, but sometimes new. Like, I just was talking about him, but there was a kid got in the first year and the second year, and they were newer, a couple of kids newer comics, and now they're working all over the country. Well, not right now, but pre-pandemic, and they just have it, So, and when I personally watched both of their videos were fine, but when I was watching them, I was like, oh, this kid's hilarious. He's got it. And then when I saw him live, the videos don't show what you have. The videos are tough. It's tough to watch. But he was so talented and so Oh, that was cool. So he was supposed to be back this year, so hopefully we'll see him whenever we reschedule. But the festival's neat. So even if you're a newer comic, I think it's worth applying because we do take comics of all stages.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As long as you're funny. If you're not funny,
it's not. You gotta have the funny.
You gotta have the funny.
Absolutely. Jenny, I really appreciate you doing this with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure we put all that social media information up there, and folks, make sure you check out the North Carolina Comedy Festival. It will return. It's a very successful festival, and she's getting a lot of attention from across the nation, which is fantastic. And so we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to tell you that for Jennie Stencel, I'm Josh Sardam. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, I hope you liked the video, and if you like the show, make sure you throw a like down there somewhere. There should be a like, and there's a subscribe button over here.
And hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell, and check us out, man. Stay in touch with us. We're always putting out videos every week, and it should be a lot of fun, right?
Write us a letter.
Write us rain. Write us the mail. Thanks, guys. Damn, that should work.